The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kids traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now, the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent. Okay. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you all this morning. Excuse me. A very fine morning. For me, a pretty cold morning, especially since I was in the 90s last week and I'm waking up to 45-degree weather. Boy, this weather is some ups and downs in March. And some people say that weather could be just like war, especially in the spring, especially in the Ides of March, especially as they're honoring their principalities, particularly Anti. Now it's made its way down to Colombia, America, and all of the other syncretic models, Liberty, you name it. Sorry if you didn't know, that's the God of forces, their Elohim of forces. And their Elohim of forces are in full effect. So, all right. This is your news hours with Covenant Awakenings. Let's begin. So, over the last 24 hours, a lot of things had transpired. And one of the things that had transpired is the fact that you have Trump basically asking and had asked the world for help. Let me put this on out there. This is Yahoo News. And I'm going to share this link, or this link is already shared. If I can, yeah, it's not gonna play well with me. All right. Excuse me. So this is Yahoo News from the AP. As of yesterday, March 16th, Trump sidestepped diplomacy on his way to war in Iran. Now he's asking China and others for help. Su Min Kim, Will Weiser, and Bill Barrow. Well, here's what this article has to say. President Donald Trump lied on his gut and largely sidestepped diplomatic coordination as he made the decision to launch strikes on Iran with the settlers. But now, with the war's economic and geopolitical consequences unfurling rapidly, he's cajoling allies and other global powers to help mop up the mess. And we covered a little bit of this yesterday. So I'm not going to get too involved in this. But what he ended up doing, and the reality is this: Australia came on out and Australia has been actually stating this. I'm going to get this article here. This is as of Thursday, last Thursday, March 12th. And I'm going to move this on over. Australia releases 6 days worth of petrol and 5 of diesel from emergency stockpile. This is from Jake Evans, which is abc.net.au. Australia will dip into its fuel reserves for the first time since 2022. 2022, Australia will open its fuel reserves for the first time since 2022 amid the conflict in the Middle East. About 6 days worth of petrol and 5 days worth of diesel will be made available to supply fuelers to allow fuelers more flexibility in managing supply. Now, why is that? Well, they're going to tell you Australia will make available about 6 days worth of petrol from its emergency stockpile and 5 days of diesel, the first use of its fuel reserves since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Why is this important? Because, again, that was during a time where they were having uncertainty with war. Oh, and by the way, now a lot of countries are forecasting that they're getting ready to face food insecurity. Oh boy, here comes famine. And I want to bring up our UK correspondent. Give me a second, Sister Chantel. Let me. Here we go. Here we go. Is our Sister Chantel. All right. Sister Chantel, you had to
Good
have that
evening.
formal
Good
introduction.
morning. Good morning to everyone across planet Earth. Today is definitely a strange, strange world we're living in.
Sister Chantel, can you do me a favor? Because it may be your headphones. Would you be able to switch your
Oh
audio
my gosh.
set? Yeah, because
Is
you're
it, is it, okay. All right. Oh, give me a second.
we'll be back with our UK correspondent. Now we have our Northeast correspondent, Brother Garth. Hold on, Brother Garth. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. Brother Garth.
Shalom, live reporting from undisclosed location in New Jersey.
Oh, Brother Garth, how's those gas prices looking up there?
Oh
In
man,
the
it's
Northeast?
literally going up ever since this whole thing, it's gone up at least like 70 cents within like 2 weeks. What has it been? Like 2 weeks since almost since unofficial war was declared. Yes, gas has been going up like crazy, but
Well, Brother Garth, let's call it what it is. This excursion. So stupid.
it's literally, I mean, I go to this one place where it's like cheaper because it's weird. Like different gas stations have different prices, but it's not like gas is no cheaper than like I'd say $3.49 here.
My
And
goodness.
and it was like before everything, it was at gas was like what $2.79.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just totally got destroyed. And for an economy that was already weak, and it was already weak. Don't get that twisted. It just got worse. It had become worse, and um, let me show this.
Yeah, even
Right
this
here.
morning before I got on here, I'm like, I have to really rely on the Most High because things are getting tight. Like you were saying, it's crazy. Like, I mean, I've only made it this far because of him, but now like we're basically at the I would hope the final stretch to you know us getting out of captivity. So now it's more imperative to rely on him and really to stop you know ruminating on bills and all this other stuff because who knows, it might not even matter tomorrow, in a couple hours, next week, next month.
Well, and here's why I'm bringing this on up because every day we're inching kind of closer and closer to things happening that again, whatever their plan was, the short-term plan was, oh, we're going to do this, but then the long-term plan will finally start to unfold. And here's this. This is from Daily Mail, and I have this article in the chat. Trump officials privately fear Iran war will grind on through September as 200 troops injured. This is from John Michael Raish, U.S. political reporter. Donald Trump has given another timing update on the U.S.-Iran war as oil tanker traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has come to a standstill. But I thought the oil was good. Someone told me the oil was good. Though some are warning the war could last most of the year. The average gas price for a gallon of regular has risen to $3.72, according to AAA. Speaking to PBS News on Monday, the president said he called the inflated gas prices a very small price to pay. Yeah, says who? In an economy that was basically gig economies that you did not have actual livable wages. You actually didn't. A small price to pay. This breaks people's back. And and before I go even any further, Sister Chantel, are you back? You're still on. If you are, you're on mute. Okay, now we can't hear you. Our UK correspondent is having troubles at this time because now everything is being hacked by the IRGC. Let me share this tab. Here we go. This is from DD Geopolitics as of March 14th. Iran published a detailed list of intended U.S.-related industrial targets with names, addresses, cities, and sector classifications. Jordan, Amman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Microsoft, Oracle, ExxonMobil, Citigroup, Amazon Web Services. And then UAE, which is Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Lockheed Martin, NSO Group, Microsoft, KKR, Boston Consulting Group, Bain and Company, Boeing, Trifigura, and Citibank Dubai was struck this morning. It appears on the list. This is not a threat. It's a menu for the IRGC. And that was March 14th. That was Saturday. Today, this is March 17th. So just right here in this list, Amman Military Liaison Office, that's Lockheed Martin, Amman Diplomatic Area, Amman Business Park, Abdali Financial. So Amman is Jordan. Abdali, I believe, is I don't know if that's Jordan or UAE. I'm thinking Abdali is Jordan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because I've been to these places. I've been in these places. So when they do the diplomatic area, um, the whole area is, they call it Abdali, and Abdali is like it's called fourth circle. If you've been to Jordan or know anything about Jordan, it's called fourth circle. And fourth circle is actually Abdali slash Abdoon. So Amman Business Park, these are Abdoon. The diplomatic area is Abdoon. And these are some nice areas. They really are. Um, Very cosmopolitan. They really are. Especially Abdali has nice hotels. They have the Rotana is there, and in that area they have a mall, and then in the mall they also have a couple of different like working towers and things of that nature. Oh yeah, no, they spent money on that, and that was a UAE group that came through and built that up. So I'd imagine, the time, 7+ years since I've been there, I'd imagine that they've extensively built that on up in the Abdali and Abdoun areas. So what that is that those are of course areas that you have a lot of Western influence, i.e., Jordanians that are also dual passport American citizens. So that's what happens. Now, at these times, back in, I think, 2019, 2020, they had a lot of jobs open. They had a lot of jobs there, even if you spoke a little bit of Arabic, and you didn't have to speak a lot of Arabic. You just had to, be able to kind of learn and communicate, but it was mainly all in English. And so, again, with the diplomatic area, with Boeing, and then the Amman Business Park, that's fourth circle. These are all in the Abdoun fourth circle area, and they name it basically by the mountains and the hills that they locate things on. And Dubai is different. So Dubai South Aviation, that is again where you have a lot of your U.S. Personnel. And let me go ahead. Let me get Sister Chantel back on in here. Because again, it's hard for people to imagine. But what Trump did, he opened up the door for U.S. forces and personnel to be expelled from the region. Go ahead, Brother Garth or Sister Chantel, if you'd like to comment.
First of all, can everybody hear me now?
Oh man, you're still popping on the thing.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is a whole new. I haven't even used these ones until just now.
It may not be you. It may be the communication because yeah, because these broadcasts, especially overseas, they then become messed up. They do it on purpose. They do it on purpose.
Probably more so for us.
So yeah, they do. Oh man, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find this in the background. Oh man, and this is definitely interference. Um, I do have to say I'm enjoying um the app up scrolled. I don't know. Somebody had done it, and here's the thing. I'm kind of wary of these apps, especially like these newer ones. That's why you won't really hear me like say much about it, and that's really because oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Okay, here we go. I found it. I gotta.
Before you
Oh,
do that, can you hear me now?
yeah, we can. You're still a little disconnected on
Okay, this
things.
this is not my headphones because this is the third one, and this is
No, it's
plugged
the
into the
internet
jack.
connection. No, it's the internet
Yeah.
connection. Yeah, y'all are look, this is how things go. This is what warfare looks like. Warfare is going to be about communication and the lack of communication.
Do you know what I reckon? I reckon it's my people snubbed your people. That's all it is.
Hmm. Well, yeah, because they don't want to have a lot of information flow. Because now, keep in mind, America has literally been deemed a danger, right? So it's a danger. So what a lot of countries are doing, especially when they said no, now there's a lot of diplomatic fallback to that because, well, whatever we're doing, whatever we're sharing and communicating, then these countries are going to be like, we need to talk. We need to understand this. We need to understand what this information flow is looking like. Are they going to plan something? Because remember, Trump said it's going to be bad for those countries that don't help. What does he mean? What type of false flag? Look, people talk about us doing false flags. No, I'm sorry. You better start reading Second Ezra 15. What type of false flags does he have planned for those countries? That's what people should be concerned about. Here we go. This was funny. I'm gonna play this. This should be showing.
Row, row, row your boat gently down. Merrily, 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 merrily.
Row, row your boat gently down the stream. Row, row your boat gently down the
Come on, stop. I know how it feel to wake up, fucked up. Pockets broken, down on another block. Why nobody helps me to open Hormuz?
Why nobody helped me to open Hormuz? There's another one. There's another one. And let me tell you this, even though these things are funny, they're funny. There is a severe implication to this that people have to look at in the background. Now, here's another one. Yeah, they've been putting this on blast. So here we go.
No.
No.
No. No. No. No. What?
Call Zelensky.
Oh, Mr. President, hello.
Zelensky, please help me to open the Hormuz Strait.
Sorry, Donald, you don't have the cards right now. You are not in a good position.
Oh. Man, oh man. What say you, panel? Brother Garth.
I mean, honestly, this is ridiculous. I mean, I didn't even think, I don't know. Things have gotten so outlandish and cartoonish but they're deadly serious. I mean, him saying, if you don't help bring ships to open the Hormuz or else, that's basically setting a precedent where everyone could turn on the U.S. because they started this war, and you know everyone was also up in arms and apprehensive to even be affiliated with that nation over there because of Gaza. So I see prophecy, you know, coming off the pages and coming to life. That's all I have to report at this moment, Brother Karras. Currently, I'm working on other things and following other updates and news headlines. So I'll pass it over to Sister Chantel, our UK correspondent.
All right. Thank you, Brother Garth. Be safe out there in that field as you're reporting. Oh, so Sister Chantel, they had Keir Starmer on out there. And I wanted to ask, what are the sentiments over there in the UK?
Same as they always are. Not our war. We don't have any. We're not. Look, from the whole Ukraine thing, nobody wanted to go to war to that. I think people are. We're in a situation where I think it's like Brother Garth said. It's scriptures that's playing out. The men or the caliber of men that they need, they're not of it. They don't exist anymore. The kind of men that they need to go to war, they don't exist anymore. War isn't even war anymore. War is computer games. War is nothing more than pressing buttons. The Western world doesn't know how to fight, and if they're trying to put boots on the ground, it's not going to go the way that they're hoping. But Europe, I mean, after going through what they've gone through with Trump and, the Dutch being told, yeah, well, we're going to take Greenland and, we're going to do this and we're going to that. And then there's the Spanish being told, we're going to land our planes. We want to be able to do what we want to do in your country, regardless of how you feel about it. They're not. Look, I was saying this to you earlier. This whole transfer that we see in, what is it? Revelation, where it says that the 10 will give their power to the beast. It's not like where they hold their hands out saying, we're coming to you, please take us. It's not like that. It's kind of like in the absence of this superpower, it's just literally a transfer of, okay, so we don't trust you anymore. The trust that the world had in the US is gone. We don't trust you. We're going to go with the people that are acting like mature people, mature adults. We're going to go over here. We're going to do business with these people. We're going to, and it's not one superpower. It's a voice of many, all literally coming together harmoniously, if you want to say harmoniously, but we know that it will seem that it's going to be this perfect picture, it's going to be good, it's going to be this, because that's what the Bible warns us against. But the rest of these nations are going to go over there because the United States is acting like, well, you're acting like children, not you, but you know what I mean. The whole administration is acting like children. Oh, well, if you're not going to do anything for me, we're going to, just throwing out and having a hissy fit. Nobody wants to deal with that. In fact, even just politics in general, like when we hear your politicians cursing and swearing, it's like, what is going on? What's going on? How crass? So it's like nobody's looking for this. The sentiments of normal people are like, yeah, I'm not trying to get involved in that. People just want to live their lives. People are like, I'm having to pay this amount of money for my gas and electricity. Yeah, it's gone up. Whoever asked, it's gone up a lot. Everything has gone up. You know, Aldi ain't even cheap anymore.
Yeah, all these
There's
is
an
cheap. My
Aldi in
goodness.
the UK.
Yeah, we have Aldi in the UK, and
Oh,
I don't know if you remember Sister Sharonda. She came over here some years back, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, your Aldi is nice." Yeah, man, we have nice stuff in our Aldis. I was actually shocked when she told me that you guys Aldi is just nasty and has, you know, excuse me, but crap in it. No, we got nice stuff. Sorry, we just do.
oh, all
The
right.
Europeans
So I
don't
got
think
to
like
get
that.
back to the story. I'm sorry. That was very from the facts. I'm sorry. We have to go back to the main correspondent, Brother Karras. So I'm sorry to obstruct your reporting. Go ahead.
Well, shalom, Minister Rick. Minister Rick is from out of Chicago. How's things looking on out there, Minister Rick?
Well, it's steady as you go. There's this election day here, so we can some of us elect not to be involved, but uh, things are going well. I just had a question for the panel, observing all these things, and I know you don't name times and dates and things like that, but how close with all these things, the proverbial harlot that's riding the beast, and which we all pretty much agree is the U.S. How close is all this inciting the beast to attack the harlot? Are we close to that?
That is a really good question. And I think now we would need to make sure that our prophetic resource, Yakoba, which we have to say 3 times, looking in the mirror in the dark, Yakoba, Yakoba, Yakoba.
See, listening in. He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
You know he's listening in. The reality is really this. No, you brought up a great point. Yeah, Sister Chantel, this is what I was alluding to. Since we had talked a little bit before this broadcast, and I said this is what people are going to be asking because this was the very first time that the U.S. has been outrightly rejected by the nations. Now, when it comes to are we partially there? I'm going to say we're partially there, partially, because that's the European dynamic. Okay, the European dynamic.
Okay.
Now, you still have the I'm going to say Middle East, West Asian dynamic. And that's going to come from those countries when really they're sick and tired of being sick and tired because, again, it's in waves. So basically in 17, 18 days, the Western nations, Europe, has basically said no. And you had China, look, when Trump was going to China, and you already know, like how dumb is that? You already know that China has already said we're back in Iran. And Russia has said that. So why are you going to go to the same person that's backing this? Oh, we're going to help you with getting oil, China. I'm good.
And also to further support that, I also heard that they are trying to, leverage this whole thing and saying, "Oh, we'll let you pass if you use the yuan to trade." So why
Yep.
would like this is like an opportunity to completely decimate the petrodollar? Why would they? Why would they? Why would they? You know, fall
So
back.
maybe it's in stages that they'll come for the currency first. But I mean, even in this hemisphere, you've got Greenland and Canada. And if you're talking about a king of the north, I mean, your north is not secure. You don't have a friendly neighbor to the north now, and don't even talk about the south.
Well, it was Denmark, Norway, some of the Baltic states, with Sweden and Finland, and like some other folks like Estonia, and then you also had Denmark, and Denmark really represents Greenland. They came up with their own alliance outside of the U.S. Canada is. Go ahead.
Canada's pulling out of the defensive uh, relationship. They're not going to buy the F-35 fighters. They're going to Europe. I mean, they're changing everything. I mean, it's just the world's longest undefended border. He's making the border relations there terrible. So, uh, do they attribute this just to Trump? I mean, he can't be doing this all himself. He's got to have people behind him. So the forces behind him have to be about that. They got to understand that.
Well, of course, there's forces behind them. He's not doing this all on his own. No. But what that now then creates, what this creates is this creates a more subtle measure where it's like, hey, even in the Ukraine, hey, we can have a cessation of hostilities because, hey, we proved it all along that you all were fighting for a tyrant. Tyrannical. Do you see what I'm saying? The credibility is now gone with the U.S. Now all of these things can start to say, hey, listen, the U.S. pit us against each other. The U.S. had this as a plan. The U.S. knew exactly what they were going to do because why? Because the U.S. thought of Europe as European.
Yep. I guess
the whole reality. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess we can look at it in stages because the soft power is gone. And Israel, the diaspora and the tribe is gaining the soft power. It's gaining soft power. Now the military power is being tested and disproven. So I guess maybe that's what's going to embolden the beast to finally, wait a minute, you're not so tough, and jump on the bully.
Well, yes, but it has to go through stages. Because here's the reality. Here's the reality of this. Not only did they reject Trump in opening up the Strait of Hormuz, just as Brother Garth has stated, these countries, and this is what Aragachi had stated, these countries are now talking to Iran. They're now talking to Iran to get their ships on out of there.
Yes, and they're talking to Iran without America. America is being isolated systematically, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Some people do, but a lot of people don't.
No, because here's the thing: they're coming up with the coldest play. This is the coldest play. These folks are going to cut the deal with Iran to get their ships on out of there. Okay? Once they get their ships on out of there, all of the U.S. ships and U.S. vessels are literally in a kill zone. And guess what? Guess who's also going to participate in that kill zone? They're going to have Middle Eastern nations participate. Everybody's hands will have their hand in that blood, right? That's what they do. They covenant in blood.
Do you know that you're actually quoting your this is a reenactment of what happened to Julius Caesar?
Yep.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Death by 1,000 cuts, exactly. You're coming in, and guess what? What did they just say not even 24 hours ago? Hey, what side are you going to be on? Because now when they start to see that the U.S. is losing its position and its power, guess what they're going to do? Okay, Well, when we strike, all of a sudden everybody's going to strike. Oh, they struck. They struck. Where the what? What's happening? Why is this happening? Come on now. They're cutting deals with them right now without the U.S. It ain't just the yuan. Hey, when this deal goes down, you're either going to act or we're going to target you.
What is this? The scripture he talks about Babylon. Her mother is sorely displeased with her, and so so even the Brits will be off board at that point. At some point.
Oh, they are. Because why? Because everybody's feeling the economic impact. It don't look like again. I want to be very, very frank. We're the only ones that deal with idealism. Idealisms. That's it. These other countries don't. They deal with, man, you better not mess with my money. Once you mess with the money, it's over. Sorry, Brother Fast Nickel, go ahead and I'll have on the troublemaker. I told you we got the prophetic resource. I called his name 3 times.
Shalom. So I want to throw a monkey wrench in here. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I'm going to throw a monkey wrench. So last night, well, first of all, on I think it was Sunday, I sent you and Brother Yakoba that video that broke down what's going on. That what is going on is really about the military industrial complex and the financial industrial complex. But with that being said, so yesterday in my, we wind up taking the end of the crypto course. We turned it into the parking lot that QTA members are familiar with. So the subject that came up, and I can't take credit, this was Sister Coco and Sister Stephanie. So I think a lot of people know that the person who bought the World Trade Center.
Okay, go ahead. I know you. Go ahead. I know you're going.
So the same guy who purchased it, he for sake of your channel, I don't know if we should mention names.
Don't mention names, but yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Mr. X, I'm talking about, right?
Mr. X, yes.
Okay, so he owns a similar property out in California.
We're out in California. That's crucial.
Well, it's in L.A.
Downtown L.A.
Downtown L.A.
I'm going to ask you this because I don't know if I verified this. Was that the same building that the bankers
the helicopters?
Movie? I know the what you're talking bankers about. Movie on Apple Plus.
So I don't know if it was the same building because that was a Wells Fargo building.
Yeah, but I don't know if they because they'll do the revamp and everything else.
True, but that was like I know like a lot of people don't even know about that. Like that happened in the broad daylight. No, it was at nighttime, but like Black Hawk helicopters landing on the street downtown LA and raiding that building. A lot of people don't know about that.
So what do you think, Brother Fast Nickel?
Bring that up because we were talking about false flags, and who knows?
Yeah. My take on that is that would be very interesting. There's a lot of things that's going on in the background. Yes. I would not be surprised. That would also target a lot of the financials. Correct. Because again, you have a lot of physical financials. So then now, again, in your perspective, where that looks like is that if you can't trust the bank, then that is a systematic retreat to what? Digital currencies.
Exactly.
Digital space.
It's the perfect because that they need some kind of excuse to roll into it.
Yes.
It's too perfect.
Yes.
So a financial false flag.
Yeah, well, everything is.
If
people
don't realize that all of this is a setup, is a show, I don't know what else has to happen. You really just got to follow the tea leaves. and it'll all play itself out.
Yep. Yeah. Because why? Right now, these countries are now stuck. They're now stuck at a far because why? Because all of these interests that are being burnt in the are blown up in the Middle East. These aren't interests that are of origins outside of the West and particularly the United States. These are all Western origins. These are all U.S. interest, Western-backed interest, and now especially if you are in Europe, you didn't ask for this war because now they're trying to say, oh well, we planned and we knew about everything. Wait a second, you didn't think about that, but now you're thinking about it. Look, these folks are liars, and now these countries have to be really serious about their own credibility to their own citizens. Hey, listen, just take the L, eat the L. You got trapped by some fools and you did some foolish things. Now you're going to have to disassociate. And in doing so, in that disassociation, there's a lot of things that's happening because it's not just going to happen abroad, which is happening right now, but there's also going to be some internal things happening, and we'll cover that because that's going to be really the most controversial topic that I'm going to be bringing up here in a little bit after Brother Yakoba. So before Brother Yakoba comes on, if you would like to support this channel before Brother Yakoba comes on in here and gets me, some sort of a strike because, people don't like to censor themselves, and they'll be saying all sorts of this and that. Let me just bring that on out there. You can support right here at this link in the chat. Thank you for your support, family. Before Brother Yakoba gets me kicked on, that's why I have to say, it's like Brother Yakoba, Brother Yakoba, Brother Yakoba. But Brother Yakoba be like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and then, all right, we're gonna go on this ride. Here we go. Shalom, Brother Yakoba. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Karis? Hey, panel. So to me, my biggest issue is understanding what parts are true and which parts are false. I mean, right now, this, you don't know what to believe. I'm sure some of the things they show us is true and some of the things they show us is false. And I think there's multiple agendas afoot, right? All to bring in this new world order, digital global system. And, even with the whole thing with Netanyahu, right? Obviously, AI stuff. But at the same time,
we can't say Netanyahu. We can't say that. We got to say the end man.
The end man.
Look, don't get my channel shut down. You can't be, look.
I don't think they're that sensitive, but I mean, I'll watch it.
Now we'll say Netanyahu. We'll go from there, but you have to say other things in terms of like settler colony and
Rev 2939 stuff like that.
Yeah, the end man is not a word.
So I mean, with all of that happening, and then like the whole theory of that some of this stuff is to destroy the U.S., which would fit with the prophecies of Babylon being betrayed by her allies, which would be that nation in the Middle East, right? And, because I don't know if y'all saw the videos where a reporter asked the man with the N, right? And they asked him if, what book is that you're reading? And he was reading a book about Rome and, 70 AD, right? When they conquered Jerusalem. And they say, why are you reading that? He said, well, we have to make sure we win next time. Now, we know according to the Rev 2939s that they consider Rome to be Christianity and Western Christianity and the Western nations. So this could be a complex dialectic because remember, they will delete their own people, right? Yeah, so they're not going to be loyal to the U.S., right? They don't like the U.S. and they don't like the U.S. quote unquote freedoms, right? I think what we're dealing with is so complex that, you know, the majority of people are going to be deceived. And the reason being because they don't know the scriptures, right? Like a lot of people think this is Ezekiel 38. It's not Ezekiel 38, but a lot of people are going to believe it. And guess who comes at the end of Ezekiel 38? Because it's obviously Armageddon, is the Antichrist or the quote unquote Messiah. Figure,
And
right?
Brother
False
Yacoba,
Messiah.
may I just ask you a question? You had a teaching on a little horn that was not a long while ago. How would that relate to who that might be? And you were
Yeah, I
relating
mean,
it to that. Go ahead.
yeah, I believe, you know, that nation in the Middle East is the little horn. I mean, out of everything I see right now, I mean, they fit perfectly, right? Because first of all, they're a young nation, right? They are literally small in size, right? But their influence and control over the world is enormous, right? So for a little horn to rise up and control, you know, the beast, right? And obviously they do because they control everything, right? The politicians, the money, the banks, all this stuff. I don't see any other character today that fits the little horn. Now, if we look at all of the prophecies, see, this is how I do things, right? Like I look at everything. I look at all of the prophecies. I say which prophecies are happening, which ones that, you know, fulfill this, which ones fulfill that. And so then it's like, okay, well, if we're in that time frame, if we're in the book of Revelation, which I believe we are, if we're near Revelation 12, which I believe we are, which is a step away from 13, which is where the mark of the beast and all that stuff, then obviously the little horn, right, is obviously got to be within that new beast system, right, because it's part of the beast system. And we're going into that transitional stage to have what they call the New World Order, which is a satanic system. We're 2 steps away from that. And be honest with you, like I said in past shows, you can't trust anybody because, like, for instance, I'm convinced Candace is a psyop, right? I'm convinced Tucker Carlson is a psyop. I believe all of these right-wing, quote unquote, liberty, home, republic, constitutional people are all psyops. And because they all got something in common, they all Catholics. What's the odds of that? What's the odds of these influencers that, you know, got millions and millions of followers? They're all Catholics. Why? Because they're going to draw you all to the new system and the new belief system, which is going to be Catholicism for the West, Islam for everybody else, and, you know, the Rev 2939 somewhere sprinkled in between. So, you know, I think we're in the worst time we could ever be because I think most people are going to be deceived.
So what they're calling Chrislam.
Yeah, Chrislam, yeah, definitely.
I do agree with you to the extent that this is going to be a time of deception. Absolutely. I do believe though that there is going to be another rebranding of different things, right? And again, that rebranding is going to come out of the Catholic Church, the Catholicism. But what will they rebrand themselves to? Now, shout out to Sister Gates of Holda because she brought this on in. This was last Sunday, and it was talking about Soteris and all of these different things that really made up modern Christianity. So, to be quite honest, at the end of the day, will they just outright say, hey, we're reverting right back to what we used to do and how we used to do things? We're just going to revert on back to, look, we're not even going to worry about the Bible. We're not even going to touch the Bible. Because why? Because now we have to get a people, right, to not even think about these ages. Will this be the new dark ages for them? Well, yeah, there was once upon a time a place over in this area. You see what I'm saying? What will happen in the next 100, 200, 300 years when it comes to the story of us in this time?
Karis, that would be the agenda of Albert Pike's War.
Oh, bro, I was literally just about to say that. I was literally about to say that. They're going back to the ancient, like a lot of the ancient religions and everything was all sun worship. And who is the sun god in their sun worshipping? They're worshipping Satan. And Albert Pike literally said that the whole world will worship Lucifer. So I see that is literally where they're going. I agree with you.
After a fight between Zionism and Islam,
Yeah,
that was his prophecy.
let's go back to the old ways. It served us well. That's the mentality I believe they're already having now.
And if you have a, let's just kind of call it what it is, some sort of a artificial intelligence slash, synthetic humanoid that can, outlive, right, its generations, because it is a multi-generational function, avatar like function, that they can have the oracle, right? This is our oracle, this is what we've created. That oracle will be like, all right, we're going to not say anything about this generation. We're not going to say anything about how this got here. Yeah, there's an ancient civilization. That civilization, they did a lot of crazy stuff, and then the people that came out of that civilization, they went back home. And here we are back in Africa, in the continent, saying, hey, these folks are wicked. Don't do anything to trust them. We're able to outlive them under the grace of the Most High. And now this is what we're telling our generation and our seeds. So you have the kingdom of darkness and literally the kingdom of light.
Do you want to know what
we got Epstein. We got Epstein Baal worship working in the background anyway. So they're there already.
Yeah, they are. But then they just come on out with it. You see what I'm saying? Hey, we're just gonna reject everything, and this is when we had our power, which they did, but they had it in the darkness, which they concealed. And now they have the nations that they're going to subdue, and those nations that knew of us, they're going to be the ones that are going to be feeling it the most in this captivity.
Karis, one more thing. I guess I've stirred up a hornet's nest here, and I'm gonna have to go off very shortly. But where does African oil fit in all this? I know it's a little bit question, but I want you to answer that maybe before the show goes off today.
Oh yeah, because Africa is now there's a lot of controversy over in the continent, particularly Ghana, because what is going on is that the strikes that had hit one of the northern states of Nigeria, they believe, a lot of the Ghanaian citizens believe, that it was done out of Ghana, so that the Ghanaians actually helped the U.S. Now, why is that? Is that because the U.S. is trying to also destabilize the Gulf of Guinea? And I would say absolutely that could be the case. And here's the thing. Things aren't necessarily put in place. Let me just tell you, Ghana still has its problems. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. It's the truth. It still has its problems. You still have a lot of people that are still, under that particular ideological worship. When you have a temple over there in downtown Accra with Monrovia and her golden trumpet, which we already know who that fallen angel worship is. So at the end of the day, what this is also doing is it's also destroying a lot of the credibility, because it doesn't matter what is being shown to the Middle East and the rest of the world. That has nothing to do with it. The credibility is actually over on the continent, because the continent actually has to see America for who it is and who it's always been. See, the America that they try to project over on the continent is that they're correct, and that black folks like you and me and the rest of us, we're just sitting here and we love everything that they do. Shoot, we even love to be killed. I'm just being honest. So now that is a situation that they now have to consider, because, well, this rejection from Europe is something that these nations on the continent have to now consider. Wait a second, if the Europeans are rejecting them, then everything America isn't, glittery and gold and everything else. No, it's not. But I thought, no, it's not. Let's understand, our people over on the continent, they have gone through systematic brainwashing since the 1960s.
So it's the destruction of the American dream for the last people holding on to it.
And the last people holding on to it is the continent. Because when they see that the rest of the world, how do people vote? Internationally, how do people vote? You're now going through an international vote. You're now going through international polling. What's the old paradigm? How do people vote? Let's see if the chat knows.
Democracy? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's a little bit more than democracy. How do people vote?
With their money?
With their money, with their dollars. Exactly, with their money. And now if they're not going to use dollars and they're going to use the yuan, then that vote is going to be resoundingly clear. I think that probably in the next, I would say maybe the next week, we'll see a lot more understanding. You're not going to know who's disclosed, right? Who has voted with their dollars, because these international agreements, they're happening right now. And the US is going to be saying, hey, we're winning, right? Even as pro-Iranian hackers are claiming Microsoft outage. Now, the way that Microsoft goes, and I think a lot of people may not understand how Microsoft works. Microsoft works in different regions. Okay, they have nodes in different regions. They have a European node. They have a Middle Eastern node. They have an Asian node. They even have an African node. So they may shut down some Middle Eastern nodes, which would then cause things to be slowed, right? So the quality will then slow. However, it won't necessarily mess up all of Microsoft, because that's not how that works. Because Microsoft has a lot of different areas and components. So things over in the US, and if you do things in the US, you really have to actually be geolocated here in the US. So that's how things work. But what that does is it also shows that there are capabilities that then disrupts these the infrastructure, the information technology, the IT infrastructure that people rely on. And if you don't have an infrastructure that people rely on, well, guess what? Somebody's going to have to introduce that infrastructure, or you're going to have to utilize what Russia and China utilize and how they're able to have their infrastructure secured. I.e., here comes another cycle. Because again, what's the thing that the United States exports the most? IT. What do you think they're doing? they're targeting the infrastructure of airplanes with Boeing and AWS Microsoft, so their IT services and their banking services. They're going for the whole US kit and caboodle.
The Chinese are even they've even replaced the GPS. It's happening in warfare, but it can go on in the domestic. They may just use their system over the whole world. People pull off a GPS and use the Chinese system.
Oh man, speaking of GPS, this came from Dina, excuse me, over at Military Summary, and he was reporting. This was yesterday in his reporting at Military Summary, is that Russia is now using the first generation of drones that is utilizing AI to do drone on the fly target selection. And they're claiming they're doing that to reduce collateral damage, civilian casualties, things of that nature.
I know they said the Iranian drones already are using AI to put the move on the interceptors.
They are.
Zigzag.
They are, and they're calculating their speeds at speeds that's faster than what a human can calculate and respond to. So their microprocessing is going faster than anything that we can process, and that helps with being able to avoid the locking mechanisms on those traditional THAAD and Patriot batteries. So all of the surface to air missiles, the SAM devices, they're now finding on out that it's not just the speed, but it's also the processing, because each drone basically has a mind of its own for the most part. And that's just not with drones, but that's also with rockets, because when you're looking at the rockets, and I got to be careful of what I can say, remember they have now the Sigil or the Sigil, they call it the dancing rocket. And the reason that it dances is because their rockets, believe it or not, do not have the stationary fins. So, on the rockets, they have the little fins to help stabilize and everything else. Their stuff doesn't. Their fins aren't stationary. They actually move in coordination with one another to help guide the missile to its location. So when you're thinking it's a trajectory, well, they'll veer off and then veer in and veer off and veer in.
Don't
And
they have
that,
also articulating nozzles and nose cones as well?
yes. And those are the sensors that they have that can then see what is being detected. Now, the detection is also done by, I would say, near reporting data from Chinese and Russian satellites. And I wouldn't say Russian satellites because with Russia, a couple months ago, I think it was actually about in January. In January, they had cut the Starlink because the Russians were utilizing the Starlink to target. That went down for about a week or so. The only reason that it came back up, and I was kind of thinking about that, is I said, yeah, they're down on the commercial imagery from Starlink, but they're going to pick it right back up with probably Chinese satellite imagery and Chinese satellite communications, which eventually they did. But the problem is that every time you have to utilize something different, it then shows the capabilities, and then those capabilities become known. And when they become known, then you are not able, you can't put things in the bag. Once it's out the bag, it's out the bag. So right now, as it's out the bag, now there's different, pieces that these intelligence communities can, piece together. Okay, China's using this, Russia's using that. So again, the responsibility is going to rely on what nations are going to say, well, we're going to give full control of our AI. And remember, all of this AI technology, what did they do recently with this AI technology? They actually said it. They said, listen, we're not going to have any safeguards. We're just going to let AI do its thing. Remember, they were saying that, hey, it'll be up to the states or the federal government or this and that. You're not going to have any safeguards. Gee, surprise,
That's why they're
surprise.
removing encryption from the DMs.
Yeah.
So the image of the beast will be totally in control then, the satanic ghost in the machine.
Basically.
Yeah. I think there's a high probability that what's going to play out after all of this war is what they've talked about in 1947 is to make Jerusalem an international city. That's going to be the center of the world government. And then what they're going to do, I wouldn't put it past them at least, is basically have Klaatu Barato Nikto, right? And basically you're going to have one of those artificial intelligence beings maybe created by Elon. And that's going to be the image of the beast that speaks and causes many that doesn't worship the beast system to be killed. And if you look at Star Trek, right, we have that imagery there, like Commander Data having certain rights, right? And I've mentioned in the past that, I've talked to somebody who years ago, had probably about 8 years now, that they went to a conference where they were talking about, or maybe it wasn't that long, I don't know, but they were talking about the legal rights of artificial intelligence, that they will have the rights the same as a human, right? This literally was a meeting of, top level people. And, I think all of this is to do that, right? They're tearing down this whole system so that they could build up this new system. And like I say, I don't even know, we don't know if Israel is being bombed. Iran may be bombed, but we don't know if all of that chaos that we see in Israel, because they got it locked down, right, where people can barely send anything out. We don't know what's AI, what's not. And I'm convinced that there's a lot of deception going on right now, and it's against humanity, just like the C-19 was.
What was the name? I think it was like Sophia or something.
Oh, the female robot.
Yeah, that was in Saudi Arabia, and she was able to get, or it, not she, it was able to have some sort of legal rights and protections. They actually made it an actual person according to Saudi law.
Yeah. And what I was talking about was in the United States, and they're talking about that on a global level too, to give artificial intelligence the same rights as a human. So what did that tell you? You're going to be controlled and ruled by what? AI, which would what? Cause those who don't worship it to be killed. I'm like,
yeah, here we go. Saudi Arabian citizenship in October. And I'm just reading this from Google, from the Gemini thing. It says Sophia was granted Saudi Arabian citizenship, becoming the first robot to to receive legal personhood in any country in November 2017, Sophia was named the United Nations Development Programme's first innovation champion and is the first non-human to be given a United Nations title. Ooh, let me share that because I don't know if your new overlord. Yeah,
some Westworld type stuff.
That's your new overlord. Look, that's gonna be the overlords in Saudi.
And she's white.
Yep. She's Middle Eastern.
Kind of a gray, kind of an olive color. Not,
it's
not
an olive.
Black,
It's an
not
olive.
white.
It's a tinge. It's a tinge.
So somebody just asked me what I think about Kazuya 2.0 playing in this. I think what's going to happen is that a lot of those people in the Middle East are going to Ukraine, but guess what? Guess where they're going now? I don't know if y'all heard they in Uganda as well. They're in South Africa as well. They're in Argentina as well, right? These people are already moving. You know, they're in Taiwan as well.
I saw Brother Yacoba, a video of them trying to go to Brazil, but the Brazilians
Brazil as well.
were fighting them. Some of them were, they were getting in fights with the Brazilians, or the Brazilians were fighting them and didn't want them in there.
Brother Yacoba, you just said my buzzword. South Africa. I was literally talking to Karis about that. I said, how many times have I said, I don't care where these people go. You can go, leave, go wherever you want, but stay out of our home. I don't want you there. It's like I'm taken somewhere or I go on a holiday. And I come home and I'm seeing somebody in my house, in my bed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just what you're going to see.
That's funny.
This is Goldilocks.
Going back there too. When I remember that they came here to America, or Trump offered them to come to America. Now they're going back to South Africa.
Like, why? Why not just go back to where you came from?
Well, and think about it, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, they're trying to take up their residence. They're trying to have their safeguards as much as they can with the people that, they're trying to utilize the ignorance.
Yeah.
While the ignorance is still having an impact, right? The moment that they realize that, oh my goodness, I can't do what we're trying to do, or it may not be safe for us anymore. Because why? Because you don't have any Western power. Because why? Because all of the Western power was sapped up in this war. And this war is going to sap a lot of power, because this war is actually going to start to involve people. Now, with what Trump has said and what we just read in Second Esdras, chapter 15, verses 44 and 45, you already know what Trump is going to get ready to do. That should not be a secret. You already know what this administration is going to do. More than likely, look, we look at internal false flags. We've been conditioned to internal false flags. In my mind, I don't think it's going to be an internal false flag. I actually think it's going to be an external false flag. That whatever proxy terrorist organization that will be used in places in Europe. Sorry, that's just me.
Especially after letting them all migrate to Europe. So I can see that. That's very plausible.
Yeah, because why? You didn't help. So now we're just going to have to unleash the dogs.
Yeah, I think the false flag's going to be global, right? U.S., Europe, all these places, all probably at the same time, because they have to get the people riled up enough to, send the world army, which is inclusive of the U.S., to the Middle East.
Yeah, but is it going to be is it going to actually be the Middle East? Or will they say, wait a second, hold up. We actually found evidence. we've actually found intelligence that suggests this had been planned and
You mean by the Rep
sponsored.
29s?
No, not just them, by the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
Because why? Hey, they needed to go stronger and harder. It was going to be a lot harder than just the weapons of mass destruction.
It's funny because everyone knows now that Al Qaeda and ISIS are, U.S. and Western backed proxies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Took them
I don't know that
we probably
they try to play that.
2013, 2014 because Obama slipped it out. Sorry to cut you off, but I remember Obama slipping that out.
He did. Remember that? He did. Remember all of the, and then they had General Lloyd Austin on there. At that time, he was a general, and then he became Secretary of Defense. And then he said, we spent $500 million on all this equipment and weapons and everything else. What happened to it? With all the training, we had 500 people to train. How many people? It's like 4 or 5 left. And those 4 or 5, they ran away. It was pretty abysmal. But then, the reality was, as soon as that happened, then ISIS was on the scene. Because remember, that was the training equipped to do what? To help the Syrians do what? Go against the Assad regime. And then from there, ISIS was born. Now, is ISIS still being supported? Probably. If they wanted to have a victory, oh yeah, we can fight against ISIS and cut ISIS down. ISIS has been defeated until they need to call up another boogeyman.
So the U.S. just goes to terrorist us and pick up a group, whatever they need to, some mercenaries to do their dirty work.
Yeah, because remember, you had that with the Ukrainians fighting alongside with what? Al Qaeda terrorists, and where? In Mali. This is no secret. How did those weapons get there? Look, and now everybody knows this. But again, just like what you have with this AI Bibi, AI Netanyahu, not Netanyahu, but Netanyahu. I gotta credit that to Mahmoud OD. So I look, Mahmoud OD. I gotta credit that to him. And when he said Netanyahu, I almost spit out my water on that one.
In the midst of all this destruction that we see, has the UAE backed off in Somalia? Any?
Oh man! And I was trying to show that clip. It wasn't Somalia. It's Sudanese army was fighting back. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. It's not showing this on X. Oh, it is. I'm going to show this. Here we go. Let's do this. Okay. So this is the army inflicting damage on the militia. It's obviously not in English, so let me go ahead and show this here. This is as of 21 hours ago. Sudanese Army Defense Forces inflict casualties on UAE militia marginer of war. And yes, here it is. This was the one. Sudanese army is advancing to recapture towns from UAE-backed terrorist group, the RSF. Armed supplies from the UAE to the RSF have dried up since Iran began its True Promise 4, or its Operation True Promise 4. Sudan must crush those genociders. So let me show you here. So they're on out there. They're on out there on the counter. They're on out there on the counter as Sudan is able to put in the work. Let me show you this. This is a big one. If you don't think that this is incredible, come on now. If you don't think that this is incredible, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna show this right here. This is from Iran Press. Breaking. Incredible footage shows crowds welcoming the Sudanese army as it continues retaking towns following the withdrawal of the Rapid Support Forces. The situation remains fluid with ongoing clashes reported in several areas. Here we go. They're on out there welcoming. They're welcoming children coming through. They're welcoming the folks coming through because why? Because they had been under oppression. Unreal.
Real quick, brother Karras, I don't know if this was relevant. Is this have this something, because I'm ignorant to the history of Sudan and all this other stuff, but is this essentially why there's a South Sudan as well?
Yes, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to destabilize Sudan due to the fact that over on the continent, Sudan does boast some of the largest reserves, especially in the Red Sea area of oil. And in doing so, you actually had different things going on where you had a Western backed part of Sudan and an Eastern backed. Now, what ended up happening in this last fight was in this fight, you had two generals actually duking it on out because it was a Russian port that was going to be built. And one general that was obviously Western backed did not want that to happen. And then when that happened, they basically had a civil war. That Western backed general, basically, he got overtaken for the most part because they being the Western countries came through via UAE. So this is actually a proxy war. So the proxy war is being instituted by UAE, which is then being proxied by the forces that they've given. So basically, the UAE is fighting Saudi via the not Saudi, fighting Sudanese forces via oversight of U.S. So the U.S. enabled the UAE to destabilize Sudan.
And that'd be huge because that's another Sahelian nation.
Well, yeah. Because Sudan is right next to Chad.
Which is next to Niger.
Mm-hmm. And that is the Saharan belt. That is the Saharan belt. Or the
so that's effectively stymied by the events happening to the north and the east then.
That is correct. They are effectively Um, Sudan is fighting back. And then they're fighting back because UAE, they can't send on out their shipments. When your lifeline is hit, it's hard to do any wars. Now, remember how the U.S. fights. The U.S. fights via proxy. Remember, all these nations were supposed to help the U.S. because remember, the U.S. said, we're going to send in our Marines. Remember 5,000, force of 5,000, 2,500 Marines with 2,500 sailors, and they were going to come through with that Marine Expeditionary Unit. And then
The
Trump.
US,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
I just wanted to say the US fights with proxies. The rest of the West understands that, and they're like, we're not going to fight your wars for you.
Bingo. This is why they were mad, because I'm going to tell you this. Oh, I'm so glad we made it to this, because I'm going to tell you this. When you have the loss of international credibility, yeah, sorry, family. It takes me at least, these almost 3 hours to bring this on over here, because when you have the loss of international credibility, you have the loss of people willingly coming up to be the U.S.'s body shield.
Well, she sits pretty over there.
Yeah, I'm not going to see any loss of my children.
And that also coincides with how you always talk about how there's hush money alongside with, letting people know who we really are and all these other things. So it all coincides.
Yes. So now, if they're no longer going to honor that blood agreement, then the back is going to be turned on who? On the whore.
Yes, and the funny thing is that it's like the West or Europeans were like looking at America like, oh yeah, come and help me, come and help me, come and help me, and they're looking like, we know the play. We taught you. We taught you what you think you can rally us, push us out there while you sit there and we die. No.
It's interesting that a parallel at the end of the original Roman Empire, before it had morphed under Constantine. Prior to that, it fell or broke into pieces when they started to hire the barbarians as mercenaries. And then the
Because that was their
barbarians got to do. So I'm just saying that may be a parallel.
Isn't that the same playbook?
That's their original proxies. They had
Yes.
the whole Roman army consisted of all these different nations that they had conquered.
Yep.
I mean, that's why do you think like the feat or in Daniel, the book of Daniel, where it says that this is it's a beast like no other beast. It's not the same as all the other nations that came before it, because it literally it takes from other people. And it's like, what was the thing that they had them? They had to. It was like Rome said, "We don't care who you worship, but we want you to pledge allegiance to what was it, Roma, the god of Rome. I can't remember if her name was Roma or it was something else. But you had to pledge allegiance to their patron god of Rome or goddess of Rome, and it was our people who they want to say was, oh, it was the Christians. No, it was our people. It was our people that said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yep.
And that's when the persecutions began. Sorry.
No, also, I was just going to say, if you also read Jasher, you really see that Esau, they never really wanted someone to rule, to have, someone whoever to rule over them. It was always someone from a different, I don't want to say tribe, but a different region or something. So it all makes sense why Rome has had different, capitals and different rulership under different names and things like that. That's all I was about to say. Because
different proxied principalities.
yeah, there you go.
Proxied principalities, right? Same thing. Hey, look, you have what? Your Filipinos, you have what? Your Indonesians, you have your Indians, you have everybody else. And they don't even realize, man. Let me bring this on up because I know I know I needed to bring this up. Oh, I gotta go to my oldie but goodie.
You're talking
Habakkuk
about
chapter
principal.
2.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're talking about principalities. I wasn't so the Prince of Persia is back in play. I'm just saying.
Here we go. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables or upon tables, that he may readeth or that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Here we go. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. What's the clay? The nations.
Different nations and peoples.
And
Woe
then
to
what it
him.
would say about the Daniel prophecy, clay doesn't mix with iron, something like that.
This also is Daniel chapter 12.
Oh, can I just say something about the clay and the iron? Sorry. Clay is something that you can, it's soft, especially when it's, okay, you can, things can be absorbed, it can absorb things, it can absorb moisture.
Yes.
Iron cannot. It's hard, it's durable, it's hard-headed, it don't listen, it doesn't bend easily. It's just, and it rots, not rots, sorry, it rusts and then becomes brittle. And and then afterwards, at the end of it, it is good for nothing.
Here we go. Because I look. Because at the end, this is really speaking to us. Here we go. Here we go. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Why is that?
Because you love war too much.
They love war too much, and they do what? And they use other nations for the wars. They're talking about the proxy.
We were their first proxy as a nation on your neck of the woods. They put you in the wars, put you at the front lines. You was the first proxy using the Most High's people. after taking you into captivity.
They listen. They were trying to get these nations.
And also, not to cut you off, Brother Karras, I also remember reading what Jubilees or Jasher. Esau also brought many nations to go against Jacob when he was in what land was that? Jeez. Like when he was
He was in Canaan, right? When he was in
in
Canaan.
Canaan. Yeah, in Canaan. There you go.
Yeah, because he had what? He brought a multitude of what? Of other nations to do what? To fight his brother.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Did that when he was in Egypt.
Yep, same thing.
But that's
when
what
they
the
had
Bible says.
Zepho.
At every issue where another nation comes to Israel, to Jacob's children, Esau's always at the back of it. Esau's always there. Esau is always the antagonistic voice at the back of their heads pushing them.
So
But he's always in the back.
our evil twin rears his ugly head again.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The evil twin. Let's call it what it is. The evil twin was at rest, right? They were at rest. But I'm going to tell you, they were at rest, but they were becoming restless because why? Because they weren't fighting anybody. That's also a curse that they have. They have to continue to fight. They have to continue what? Bloodshed in all these nations.
And also, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, if you read Jubilee, Isaac already gave Esau, because, Genesis doesn't really, expound on it, what his blessing was. He said that he would also, rule by war, but also he would also be cut off. All of his stock would be cut off through the sword, or I forgot exactly, but that plays into what the blessing that Isaac gave Esau, because they don't talk about that, because he asked him to bless him still, even though supposedly Jacob supplanted his blessing, which I don't think was the case. It's just the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah, Esau's birthright was different than Jacob's. Esau's birthright was for the sword. That they would do what? That they would have the milk and the honey. Through what? Through sword.
Conquering.
Mm-hmm. Through conquest.
Divide and conquer.
Because why? Because they don't like to tell you in Jasher, Esau was what? He was a hunter. Here we go. This is Genesis, right? Chapter 25. Here we go. Genesis 25. And it kind of goes through the nations right here, but there's just one tiny, tiny little detail that they don't like, because that detail is revealed a lot more in Jasher. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man. Esau wanted to kill. Steal, kill, and destroy.
Esau was a redneck then.
Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Hey, we just want to be by ourselves and do things by ourselves.
Tents, homes, So
We built.
Where were they?
We built. They destroyed.
And also, Karras, I have it. I mean, I remember what you said. It said, here it is, Jacob. It was Jubilees 26, and it says what will I'm sorry. It says okay, Jubilees 33, and he said, I'm just going to paraphrase, and then Isaac told him that his blessing would be, and by thy sword wilt thou live, and thou wilt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou becomest great, and thou shakest his yoke from off thy neck, thou shalt sin a complete sin unto death, and thy seed shall be rooted out from heaven under heaven.
Here we go. This is Genesis 27. All right. All right. And Isaac, let me say this. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I now do unto thee, my son? This is talking to Esau. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live. He that live by the sword shall die by the sword. He that leads into captivity shall be shall go into captivity. Their birthright was the sword, but they could only steal, kill, and destroy so much. So what were they doing? They had to yoke themselves to a principality. They yoked themselves to that dragon. You had the nation of the woman, and you had the nation of the dragon. That's why they could always have their rallying point, right, with these other nations. Come on, let's go. We got to take care of Jacob.
They took the deal that Yeshua turned down.
That's
all
correct.
the kingdoms of this world.
That's correct. Because Esau's heart wasn't right with him. And and here's the kicker, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob.
And Genesis leaves out the parts in Jubilees, like I said, where it says that thou will do a sin, thou shalt sin a complete sin unto death, and thy seed shall be rooted out from under heaven. But Obadiah kind of, that's in the tie-in with Obadiah, but Genesis doesn't really explain that.
Yeah, and Joshua will tell you that he was cunning. He knew how to talk to these nations to get him to work in his coalition to fight his brother.
I'd like to put to rest the atonement that's going on in the church forever, that Esau was so stupid that he got hungry, and for soup and a salad, he gave his birthright away. At that time, if you go to the book of Jasher, he was running from Nimrod's secret servicemen because he just taken him out. So he says, well, what does that mean to me? What does the birthright mean to me? If somebody's chasing you down to kill you, then hey, you take the nutrition and just go, because if they catch you, ain't gonna be no birthright. So I'm just saying that thing goes down. Like he didn't give it up because he was hungry. He gave it up. He was on the lam. He was running from Nimrod's secret service because he just had
exactly. He needed to be helped because he was already doing wicked. They don't like to tell you that.
Like that Nimrod on your screen.
I need help because I was doing wicked, and guess what? He got helped, and he helped himself away from being blessed. Here we go. Trump faces coalition of the unwilling on Iran. President Donald Trump spent his first year back in power disparaging U.S. allies. Now he wants them to help America in the Iran war, and they are none too enthusiastic. Nobody is coming to help them. From tariffs to insults and threatening to invade Greenland, Trump has rarely missed an opportunity in recent months to criticize America's partners. Yet now, the 79-year-old Republican has said he expects the same allies to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to oil traffic and reacted angrily when they rebuffed him. It's an extraordinary demand, said Philip Gordon, the former national security advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris, and now an academic at the Brookings Institution. To justify risking people's lives, not only for that operation, but for a president who has done nothing but insult and berate you for the last 15 months, that's probably a bridge too far. Let's go back to this.
Habakkuk chapter 2. He's going to die by it.
Yeah. Here's this. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and of the city and of all that dwell therein. Because the number one key destabilizer has been the U.S. Here we go. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. Man, what have they been doing? They've been stealing money since day one. This has been literally, when they said revenge trip, they didn't even know what they were talking about. This dude has been in office doing all sorts of illegal and unethical things. That's just what's been happening. And now everybody's been saying, oh yeah, that's great, until he bit off more than he could chew. Oh, I could just do this, I could just do that. Not anymore. That he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Why? I can do the evil, but evil doesn't come around me. It's too late. It's too late.
He's mocking God. That whatsoever man sow, he shall also reap. God is not mocked. He's mocking God.
Exactly. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. They thought it was fine. Look, we all knew that this was coming, and we said, forget it. Do you realize we said we have no parts? We left this thing alone. And do you know when we left this alone, they could not handle it. So what did they do? They reverted back to the sword. Hey, we're just what? We're just a plain man. We're just in our tent. Come on now. All right, thank you, Brother Yakoba. We're just in our tents. We're just plain. We're just plain people. Do you know that for us to just shut up the doors, do you know how prophetic that is? Even in the most simplest things that we do, it's so prophetic. We need you to come on out here. We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you to make this nation great again. We need you to make this nation strong again. Yeah, we need you to protest. Sorry. Same wings on the same unholy, unclean bird. And we said no. And you realize because we said no, now the other nations rejected this place. Oh, don't wait. Don't worry. We're going to be the ones blamed for this. Don't you worry. Well, if you all had just, stood up and had done this and we all worked together, then, then we could have fixed this and we could have, ain't no way. Jacob knows who they are. We stood down. Jacob knows who we are. We've simply said we're not doing this anymore. Do you know that those are, when we talk about gates, right? How we pass through these prophetic gates. There are things that we have to do as a people. Do you know right now we're passing through another prophetic gate? Because as a people, by and large, what are we saying now about the draft? We're not going to be part of that draft. To do what? To help support a place that has pedophiles and cannibals? Or pedo P3s or PDFs?
Yeah, Brother Karras.
Yes.
I think it's a term from drug addiction, where the person that isn't addicted to drugs is so influenced and drawn into that spirit by the other person. It's called codependency.
Yes.
So we've been codependent. We're coming out of that codependency on the addict that is Esau, and say, no, we're not going to participate in your madness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's the thing. I've never seen so many of our people are just like, send me to jail. Then send me to jail. See, I think people have to understand our generation of our young men and women, they're different. They're built different.
The church used to say the Joshua generation.
Yeah, they're built different because again, jail. They're like, all right, send us to jail. I also think prophetically, this is as we're looking at to set the captives free. Now he can try, but I don't think it's gonna work the way that they think it's gonna work. You now have all of these things going on. Because why? Part of that confederacy that we help to enable and empower. Understand what has been happening. We have been empowering Esau. We have been empowering Edom. You can't cut us off, so guess what? They're just going to take our scepter. We're taking our scepter back. You want to know when we took our scepter back? It's the spiritual take back. We're done with this. We took our scepter back. We actually physically cut them off. Our codependency stopped back in November 2024. Oh, Ninja Firewolf. Oh, you know exactly where I was going. It will break into a civil war. It absolutely will. Oh, it absolutely will. Let me get to this. Let me finish this up. Let me finish this up. Oh, Habakkuk chapter 2 and 10. For thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people and hast sinned against thy soul. They sinned against their soul. Hey, we would have healed Babylon. She refused to be healed. Here's this now. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer. Do you know that even their ruins, even all of the things that they wouldn't even think about, is now literally telling on them? Here it is. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Behold, is it not Yahuwah of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? They're trying to keep a nation up that's literally dying. What's happening with all those oil refineries? What's happening with all those data centers on over there? Aren't they getting blown up? I think they are. Now, all of a sudden, as we're speaking out, here we go. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of Yahuwah, as the waters cover the sea. Because why? Because now they're realizing, we're getting our scepter back. These Negroes are starting to wake up. We're not in agreement anymore with this kingdom. Now they're going to have to write Moncom 2. They're going to have to write the Negro question on the question of the Negro.
You mean the Fourth Reich?
Yeah, on the question of the Negro. Now they are being found out. Because why? Because we're having these very same conversations right now. That's forcing them to do what? They got to read the word. Sorry. They're having to now read the word. The word that our forefathers said it was true. The word that our forefathers said that it was going to come to this very day, this very hour, this very moment, which is happening right now. What can they say? What can they do? Nothing. Our forefathers were what? He was a plain man. Now you know, okay, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to try to bring in their federation, their coalition. But we got news for them. We got news for them. It's too late. The Most High's word does not return void. It's too late. Gentiles, it's too late. You can say all the slanderous and all the threats and everything else against us. It's too late. And now, nobody wants to listen to any of your lies anymore. We said this. Look, it's going to be too late for you all to do anything. You can deny. You thought that you had the sword. But when you realized that that sword was because of the scepter that you no longer have, you don't have anything. Black folks are done.
our enemies no longer prosper. The curse is reversed. So you had the prosperity. Our downfall was your upbringing. It was interesting. Just a short anecdote. My sister, she kind of likes Hollywood. She had on the Academy Awards and everything like that. I was looking at the black people in the audience. You got to put on a costume. You got to submit to the American Dream Machine. And you come in there and maybe they'll throw you a little bone. Oh, if I can only get this, or we could get this thing like that. That's like a microcosm. But they got to have our face dressing in them to sell the dream.
Yes.
But it doesn't. But the dream machine is collapsing. So but they're still trying to play it. They're still dressing up in their gowns, going through their rituals to say this dream of America. And I think George Carlin says, that's the reason why they call it a dream, because there's no basis in reality. It just occurred to me.
Well, yeah, and that's why, look, as we're looking at this, now let's put this into practical terms, because we can tell and show prophecy as much as we want to. It doesn't matter for most of them. Because remember, they only understand the sword. So I'm sorry. It's not to demean them, but that's, if you know, here's the thing. We didn't understand, because our natural reaction is always this. Well, let's talk and let's have a dialogue. Let's see what it is that, we can come to common ground, and let's get an understanding of how we can work this on out together. They're telling you, what do you mean? This is how we discuss.
Violence is speech.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. You could strangle a person, the life out of a person on network TV. But when people started tearing the street, oh, you had a problem. Oh, is that what you meant? We started speaking their language. We were tearing up something.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We didn't have to look. What is it? What was Jeremiah 50:20? They'll try to look for iniquity in Israel and trying to find fault in Judah, and none shall be found. Because why? We already knew. Look, we're not putting our hands on you. We don't have to. That's not for us.
Can you hear me?
Ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, their problem is that, and it has been and always will be, they're looking for fault in the same. Look, they want us to be like them. So they're looking for us to react, excuse me, the same way they would. Yes. This is one of the reasons why they're so terrified about being the minority, even though they really are the minority globally. But they're so terrified in the nations that they have procured for themselves and have done the most wickedest things. They're terrified that we, and I mean we, because the rest of the global south, we're not like them. Everybody else that has been harmed by them, we don't think like them. That also includes the Asians, and I do know that they have their little part in doing whatever, but they still don't act. They still don't act, and they still don't. They're not like them, at least not fully, completely. We all have, not we, but as a community globally, we all have traits of, evil, because this world is evil. Sin is in this world, but we as a group outside of the European space, we don't act and we don't think like them. For example, we know that the Asians, just like us, they respect their elders, although these people want to try and make out like we don't. They respect their elders, they value family and so on and so forth. We don't think like them. So they believe that when they become the minority in these spaces that they have overtaken and made that this is their country and so on and so forth, they believe that we're going to act like them, that we are going to harm them and to do what, So the funny thing is that their reasoning and they're doing everything in their power to make sure that that doesn't happen to them, but they don't realize that with all the nefarious machinations that they are doing. They're actually plotting against themselves. They are literally about to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because ultimately that is going to happen. It's not going to be us, but it is going to be the others. And it's only down to the fact that you keep on doing. People are like, we don't want to have nothing to do with you. We will leave you alone. You leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. But she can't stop. None of them can, whether it's over here or over there. But you're the ones that you're under, that control your life and everything over there. They're worse than the ones over here, because even the ones over here, they're looking like, oh my gosh, what is going on with you? What is going on with America? Why? But ultimately, in the European mind, whatever you want to call that, this is ultimately how they are. And they believe in their hearts that we are going to turn on them and be just like them. And we're not, because we don't think like you. We don't act like you. Even some of your people can't even comprehend some of the things that you do, but we don't. And the only way it will happen is because they keep pushing. So it's like, they didn't have to do this, but they led themselves straight to this. And they're constantly going to see, it's weird, because it's almost like as if it's a comfort for them to know that everybody else is just as deplorable as they are. That's a sick mind.
Well, but again, even for what they're trying to do, like, don't get it twisted. They're saying, like, this is Armageddon. This is their Armageddon, right? They're literally trying to say, look, the Messiah is gonna come back after this, and they're gonna be in their 1,000-year reign and all this other stuff. They completely missed a lot of the Bible, because we're going to be in our walls back in our towns of one-walled villages, back where our land was at, back where we had been taken from in captivity, back where we had been dragged from in chains of iron. And that is going to be an issue that they can't overcome. That is when the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of Yahuwah. Oh, these folks, they're them. That's when these nations come and make this nation fear. That's when Babylon fears. Uh-oh, we can't get away with the lie. Uh-oh, we can't get away with what we were trying to get away with. They know it. All we've been saying is, look, we're just going to sit here and watch prophecy unfold. And we've been sitting here, and guess what? Did anybody here? I certainly didn't do anything I didn't email Trump and say, hey, Trump, let's get into this war because you're going to do this and this and this. I have no power in my hand to do that. Trump listened to Brother Karras on the Covenant Awakenings, and he went into war. Okay. All right. I would not be surprised that they would try to do that. And I guess if I had that much power and influence, oh boy.
If you had that much power and influence, the first thing would be cut the check, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If I had that much power, yeah. If I had that much, I would be living. I'd be living a different lifestyle. Oh my goodness, no. Yeah, that's not the case. Will they try? Absolutely, they'll try. No, I'm here. I'm good in my little corner of the YouTube hood.
So we're sitting here watching a car crash happening in slow motion and saying no, or either applauding.
And the crazy thing is, man, you just got to get out the way. You got to get out the way. And now they're saying this. Here's the most dangerous. I'm gonna start sharing this because I'm telling you, this is danger. This is danger close. Let me put this link in the chat so you all can see how dangerous this is. Now that you see things prophetically, this is literally real time. Updated 9:45 from Philip Nieto. This is Daily Mail. Iran holds the cards now. Trump left exposed as allies reject Hormuz plan and fears grow of desperate gambit. Donald Trump's inner circle is growing alarmed that he may be losing control of the Iran war after allied countries flatly rejected his plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Gas prices have surged to an average $3.80 a gallon. They're going up and up and up. It'll be about $5 by the end of literally this week. Because nobody believes him now.
I'm
Let
a
me go
boomer, but
here.
that's the old Beatles song, "The Fool on the Hill."
What it said, we clearly kicked Iran's behind in the field, but to a large extent, they hold the cards now. A source close to the White House told Political they decide how long we're involved, and they decide if we put boots on the ground. But I thought that they were going to put boots on the ground. I thought that they had this conflict, in hand. We all thought this, right? That's what they're doing. They were breathing out the threats. They were going to do this and going to do that.
It's
Now,
interesting.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's interesting how now they've put the ball in their court. Oh, they decide how long we're involved. And they decide if we put boots on the ground. Really? It's so weird. So you've got, what? You've got the Iranians literally telling you how to move, what to do. They say jump, you say how high. Okay, that doesn't even help. How is that going to help your cause? You put that out in the international realm, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay. So why do you want us to help? What are we fighting against? If you're telling us that they're the ones in control of this, then no, we're really not getting involved in that. Then
Thank you, J0, for this. So, Fed president to make an emergency announcement today. It's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That actually may be going on right now. People are asking, is this news real? It looks like it may be false. But the Fed, I think they're going to be announcing tomorrow. So I tried my best to not, report the fake news. But they're saying that the Fed may be announcing a rate cut. So they're going to try and turn on the money printers. They're going to try to turn on everything and anything that they can to look. The ship is sinking. The ship is sinking. Now, here's the problem with this. Now that we understand, I had to lay my case down and prophetically, right? What we're getting ready to see happen. My opinion, this is me, my personal opinion. Whether you agree with me or not, okay, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. But I'm going to tell you this. I believe right now we are in the time frame of pre-coup. We're in a pre-coup status. pre-coup. You now have, and let me tell you why that's so true. Because again, when you look at polls and you look at different things in history, now whether or not the coup is initiated by the deep state, they'll try to do that too to continue to, look, you're going to continue to maintain the narrative on both sides. That's just how that goes. But here's the reality. This pre-coup is where they do not want to be, because this is something that when your popularity falters and now folks are starting to see, well, the system's not working.
Well, the last coup here happened to Kennedy, and that in effect really brought in the neocons in the military industrial complex. So it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm. Is this going to be that the Simpsons or the trading card? Here's the thing. Who knows? At the end of the day, guess what? That doesn't negate prophecy. It really doesn't. But at the same time, when you're starting to see this rise in gas, and the rise in gas is so precipitous, that you're now looking at $3.87. That article had stated 380. Excuse me, that was Florida. Let me do this price of gas. Let me put a price of gas in US today. Well, 3.79. So it's still around $3.80 for the cost of regular gas. That's the current average. And that will continue to rise, because now countries are trying to figure out how they're going to be able to sustain and support themselves. On top of that, now the yuan is going to be the global reserve on gas. This is going to be a true economic meltdown. It's going to be a true economic nightmare. By the end, when people start to realize this, when traders start to figure this thing on out, it's going to spike, it's going to come up, and then it's going to start coming down. It's coming up today because they got to push in liquidity that, again, they don't have. They're printing money that they don't have. This is going to end very badly. They weren't buying U.S. bonds last year. Oh, they're definitely not buying them. People are trying to liquidate and get out of this sinking ship. So if the U.S. isn't buying bonds, if countries aren't buying the U.S. bonds, then guess what? The banks have to buy bonds. This Ponzi scheme is going to end in a very nasty manner. Will it end this month? Will it end next month? Who knows? I really don't know anymore. All I can say is I don't know how long they have the power to keep up with the charade. Because at the end of the day, it's actually not us that has any power in our hand. At the end of the day, it's going to come to them. We have no power in our hand. We're just going to be looking at this thing just falling and falling and falling. Are you going to help us with this? Nope. Are you going to help us with that? Nope. That's not our job. And you have to remember, they don't like to do things without a coalition. That's why I say it's pre-coup status. Everything that they try to do, they want to try to grab somebody. Well, you better try to grab some of those Latinos. You better try to grab some of them Asians. You better try to grab someone. They're not going to give up their. This is their heaven.
They privatize profits and socialize debts. See, we all have the debt, but only they have the profit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when this thing goes on and when this thing starts to get crazier, day by day by day, that's why I said, look, give this thing a minute. You don't have, look, you may have weeks. They're trying to say September, and you want to know why they're throwing out September. They're trying to get a gauge from the American public if that's something that's acceptable. If it's unacceptable, then people are going to be calling. Not us, or not regular people, excuse me. Not regular people. Regular people aren't going to call. It's going to be the corporations and everything else. We can't do it till September. What are you talking about? This is crazy. We can't do that. Because that's the only thing that this administration knows. They know what and how the corporations react, because that's all they serve is the corporations. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That may have people feeling a certain way, but it is the truth. Sorry. Well, if we do that, we're gonna have to cut off more. We're gonna have to fire more people and this and that. Look, until they get to the point to where they've all gotten fired for AI, they're not thinking it's real yet. Well, do you not know that all the wars do what? They promote innovation and technology. Go ahead, Mr. Rick.
Well, these people are amoral. It's nothing moral about what they do. They have no moral compass, but they do stand on stability and predictability. And they do not like, because then they can game plan. All this changes and things like that, this chaos, they don't like that either. They don't care if stability comes from a democracy or a dictator or whatever. But they want stability and predictability so they can set down the rules of the game and just win and win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brother Asaf said it's called the pump and dump. So Canadian Prepper said Dubai property had dropped by 30%. Oh, it has. Oh, don't get it twisted. Everything in the Middle East has the money is leaving them. Remember, we talked about that in the earlier for those that may not have been here, Sudan and things of that nature. The destabilizing actions by the UAE. So now, now we're looking at how they are facing destabilizing activities. And you're absolutely right, Minister Rick. Their stock market, it goes off of patterns, and somebody had even put on out there that they're actually mirroring the same pattern that they mirrored in 2008. But you have to remember, there's no originality. If you already knew how things looked, then that's how you make the money on that market. Oh, it's going the same way. Oh, it's doing the same exact thing. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So now, right at this time frame, here's the thing. They said it's reported that the USA spending $1 billion per day. Is that true? Pushing the ass. I'm going to say this: if they're saying $1 billion per day, it may be spending $1 billion per day for the war, right? The operational cost for the war, but I'm telling you, it's costing the U.S. more than $1 billion per day. I think, to be honest, just my opinion, I think that the U.S. is probably it's probably costing the U.S. you know maybe hundreds of billions, if not trillions, a day for this war. When it all comes through, because it's the economic wash, right? Things being produced, inputs, outputs, those are all resources. They're now saying, look, that even the fertilizer is at risk and that their yields, we could be looking at potentially famine, because remember, we didn't have good yields last year with all that crazy weather. Remember, it was one of the hottest on record. And yes, and with the dollar being devalued, absolutely, that devaluation is happening with the yuan. Those billions of dollars that the U.S. would make a day, that's now going offline, especially if the oil is going to be dominated under a yuan based system. So the oil basically got hijacked by BRICS.
Nobody's buying chips at the casino. They're cashing them in.
Yep. When they said, hey, if you want to play, you got to pay. The house is the other people. Now the house is China. What an interesting time to be alive. This is why, look, people may have thought it was crazy when I said with neo diplomacy, the relationship is the new currency relationship. What happens when you don't have any funds? What happens when your dollar is no longer good? What happens when you're a quote unquote American? We already know that type of an American. And guess what? They don't want you anywhere in the world. Because these people are literally saying you're a liability. You're dangerous. You're dangerous to us. I'm not saying it. These other countries are saying it. I can't get you a visa here. You're dangerous. You even have some of those settler folks, their visas are being canceled and they're being forced to leave their countries. It's too dangerous. You're putting us in a predicament that we didn't want to be. We're just here trying to enjoy this. We're trying to have a relationship with everybody.
Karis, cautionary note to the PSYOP that is a lot of these movements like FBA, really. The Proverbs 3:31, envy not your oppressor and choose none of his ways. They want you to have the same relationship with your African brothers that Trump and his ilk have alienated the rest of the world. They want you to, the diaspora, particularly Americans, to alienate uh, uh, your people, the Hebrew people scattered all over the world, and get you in the same boat with them. Unless you want to suffer the same fate, you better drop this stuff and understand. Because when times get hard, I know you guys will get hurricanes and stuff down there in the Florida and the Panhandle and stuff like that. A whole lot of you people had to get up from where you were when that storm was approaching and go live with your kinfolk somewhere else. This thing goes south. You better have some kinfolks to come through because you got nothing here. And if you think you an aboriginal, well, you gonna be an aboriginal refugee because nobody's staying here. Ultimately, what the Most High is going to do to this place, ain't nothing living here unless you're a lizard or something like that. So I'm just saying, you better drop this ish and get with your kinfolks and really help build up. This is not the promised land. We weren't promised. Yeah, we were promised it as a curse. Of our captivity, but we're out of here shortly, and you have a choice to stay, but it's not, you won't live here. It's not a place of life. So I could land on that.
Yeah, and now now it looks like everything is being targeted. It looks like the strikes are going on in UAE as we speak. Times of India is reporting that that the Patriot systems are failing in UAE, so there's strikes now happening. UAE is just now they're moving. So here we are at this time. The only thing that we can do is just pray that the Most High continues to protect us. So we don't know what their plans are, but the great thing is that the plans of the enemy, they're going to fail. And we know that they're going to fail. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to be here and see and look and understand how they're going to try to do this. Because you're right, just as we're coming out of this captivity, they're going to try to do everything that they can to have us corrupt ourselves. Because they're going to try to lay that seed for all of those folks that have some sort of Greek fraternity, some sort of Masonic issue, right? That's what they're trying to do. What virus can they have? What spiritual virus can they have on our people that will then be able to manifest itself after their captivity is dwindling down? That's it. They're not dumb. They know what this thing's going to look like. How can they come back for for Ezekiel 38 and 39? Well, they have to tell the rest of their people that they're in Ezekiel 38 and 39. No, they're not. But it's a nice try, because if you don't know the scriptures, then you're going to fall right into their trap. All right, final thoughts. Final thoughts. I'm getting kind of tired. I'm sorry, family. Final thoughts.
I guess I'll go keep it short and sweet. Final thoughts. Stay tuned. It's all in our favor of God's chosen people. Uh, um, Slow down and obey the Murak Hakadesh and enjoy the ride.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Rick.
I just want to say, the Most High has his people. He has us in the palm of his hands. He said that this was going to happen. He said that we was going to go into captivity. He said we was going to lose our identity. He said that we was going to be in the hands of a nation that does not respect the young nor the old. And we found out who that was when we woke up using the scriptures. So when the Bible says, when his word says, when he says, I'm going to hold you, I'm going to watch over you, that you're going to see them fall on your right side. You're going to see them fall on your left side, but it's not going to come near your dwelling place because I've got you. When he says that, can we just please believe him? When he says, I'm going to do this thing and you are going to sit and watch and see your father who loves you so much come for you and deal with this nation, deal with this wayward, horrible little boy, our sibling. When the Most High says that, can we please believe him? Can we believe him when he says that I'm not going to desert you. I'm there for you. I'm right here. I've heard you. How is it we all have literally just been like, across the board? You guys only see it from where you are, but everywhere, the whole diaspora, we're delineating from these people. We're moving away from them. When we look around and we're like, we see. One sister was on TikTok. She said that in regards to them not voting for Jasmine Crockett, she said, I'm going to use black telepathy. Now we know what that is. We do have that. That is the Holy Spirit. Some of our people don't understand it, but they understand it. We have that. And the Holy Spirit spoke to us globally. And I hate using that term, but the Holy Spirit spoke to us across the nations that we find ourselves in. And we all knew, nah, it's time for us to just leave these people alone, because everywhere I go, where I see my people, and we just start, you know how you be sitting on the bus, or you're sitting or you're at work, or whoever you meet, and you look at your brethren and you're like, they're going through that, they're going through something, and they will be like, yes, I see that they're going through, this is judgment. And our people know. They might not be able to quantify it completely, but they know this is their judgment. This is their time. This is our time to move away from them. This ain't our time to be running about in the streets like this is any given day. This is their time where we just sit down. We're not trying to be in your protest. We're not trying to this. We're not trying to that. We're done. And so when I say, every time I come off, one of the things I say is, this ain't the time to be around them. They are like the lightning rod. The same way they understood, oh, those people are going through their judgment, when it was our time, and they stayed away from us. They stayed away from us. They didn't want to be around us and everything. We need to do the same. We need to do the same. It's like, I'm not trying to, I want to respect my father, and I want to protect what I have. So I'm not trying to be around you like that. I'm not saying that we drop them. That's not what I'm saying. But the foolishness and the mess that they continue to do, we need to be like, I'm not about this. Because some of them save and reserve. And I know not all of our brethren have this mindset, and that's fine. But save and reserve yourself for the ones who are willing and able, and who are like, I'm coming with you. You don't know them. You're not going to know them. But I tell you that when it's time, you will know them, and the Most High will present them to you. Not only that, but they will also probably be one of the means to help you leave as well. But for what I know, this ain't the time. This ain't the time to be messing around with these people. It's time for us to, like the scripture says, in Psalms, is it Psalms 109 or Psalms 93? But both of those scriptures go parallel hand in hand. We need to pray on those. But he says, like, sit down, keep yourself indoors, stop being about these people because there's a tumult. And we're seeing that tumult now. They're rallying against one another. And this is where we're like, we're just sitting in the middle, like looking like we're at a tennis ball, a tennis game. We're just looking like, whoa, what's going on? These people have lost their minds. Let them lose it. Just do not allow them to drag you with it. Because where they're going, we don't need to go. We've been there. We've worn the t-shirt. We've written the book. We don't need to do that again. And they would love nothing more. Somebody in the comments said misery loves company. Yes, it does. We do not need, because when we were miserable, they didn't want to comfort us. They weren't there for us. None of them. None of them. So it's their time now. They can go seek comfort with each other. Go seek the Chinaman. Go seek the Korean. Go seek the Japanese. Go seek all these people. Seek the Hispanics. Go. All of you can go seek each other. And all of you who say me no black, me no black. I ain't forgotten you. I ain't forgotten. None of us have. We still remember. We remember. So none of you start trying to say, "Oh, I'm black." No, no. Keep to that energy. Anyway, I'm done. Karis, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Chantel. All right. Well, just to leave you all with this may be day 19 for tomorrow. People are jumping ship. This is from the Director of National Intelligence and National Counterterrorism Center. Wow. Says President Trump, after much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He said effective today. He left today. And he's, glazing. He's glazing, oh, this and that. And then he comes down to this. That basically you had been deceived by the settler colony, and now you're on the crash course to this. And he's saying you can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. Hold the cards. But the administration literally just said, like, in less than an hour or two ago in this broadcast, that that Iran holds the cards. And he puts, it was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. That was, I think, as I'm looking at this, it was about maybe less than 20 minutes ago that this letter of resignation had been posted. This is on the Telegraph. When people are jumping ship, people just don't leave because said Iran holds the cards China made. Yep, that about sums it up. Them bicycle cards, them old school cards. This is funny. It's really not funny, but at the same time, It is, because I'm telling you, we're now beyond a 12-hour news cycle. You know, our news cycle is now about a 3-hour news cycle. And when you're at a 3-hour news cycle, that actually becomes calamitous, because now you can't understand what's actually happening and what's been going on at those types of news cycles. When you get to a point in time, it starts to create it starts to create a psychological issue. And here's the thing. That psychological issue is a lot of stress. You're going to have a lot of people being hospitalized because of heart palpitations and all these other things. That is a psychological stressor. You're, Look, these folks are not in the comfort zone. Actually, we've been pretty good being outside of our comfort zone. I thank the Most High every day. I said, thank you, Father. I've been outside this comfort zone for a minute since 2023, 3 years ago. Right now, this time, man, I was in a comfort zone like you wouldn't believe. Man, we be having covenant awakenings till about this time, and then in a few minutes, my first meeting would start. I said, thank you, Father. This is the good life. And then the Most High he violently shook me out of my comfort zone. I don't know if he's a loving father. He violently put spiritual hands on me. I was abused. I said, Father, why'd you shove me down? I was comfortable. No, I know why he did it. I'm glad he did it. Because again, what that does is people don't want to be a target in this administration. And you're going to have more people resigning because why? To me, remember what was that? 48 hours ago? They're winning. They're winning. Wait. They're winning. They're winning. They're winning. They're winning. But we just showed the article that Iran holds the cards. They're not winning. They're losing. And now people in this administration are now sounding the alarm, because the alarms are always gonna sound from the inside. They're talking to the press. Hey, not what I heard. Hey, I've been a little vocal. Hey, I'm getting up on out of here. I'm out. Well, I wanted to fire him, but he resigned before I could fire him. That's good. He was a loser anyway. He was a loser. And then to demonize people. No, they're trying to get up on out of here because they know that when this is all done, those war crimes, and to answer for those war crimes, like, I don't think people understand, like, at the very end, some of these folks are going to be hanging for some gallows. Yeah, that is a good question. I think that look, honestly, I believe that Hegseth will probably get fired either by the end of this week or next week. Because I believe, Hegseth will be he already definitely knows that he's the first person that Trump's going to throw away. You definitely know. He's the first person Trump is going to throw away. That's the easy one. Yeah, so with that, family, it wasn't going to go that long. Ooh. Man, these long lives are kind of taking it out of me. I haven't conditioned my body for these 3 hours, especially 2 days in a row. And we don't even know. We don't we don't even know if Trump's been taken into that, or not Trump, excuse me, Netanyahu's been taken into that Westworld, rift. I don't know if anybody's seen Westworld. where the machines were they finally got up on out of there and they were in their digital heaven. That's what that's what they're about to do for Netanyahu. It is okay. You can join me in digital paradise. This is heaven. Besides a couple fingers being added in pockets that fold over your hand, besides a different date, besides wearing a ring and a wedding ring one moment, there is nothing to complain about. See, this is heaven in a 3D optical illusion. And when you get here, we're going to make the Matrix even better. But it takes all of your souls to do it. Da da da. Yeah, it's getting there. And it's not getting there. We are here. Look, that spiritual Uber driver done took us here. We are here. Is this our destination? Yep, that's what. Oh, hallelujah. So with that said, family, most high willing, if something were to pop off tonight or something goes crazy, I'll try to jump back on. But with that, family, most high willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And with that, be blessed. And here's the thing: do not fear, do not fret, because the Most High has everything under control, and we are covered under the awesome and mighty blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. So, family, with that, shalom, salama, siyeme, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.